In the quiet of a Tuesday evening, a lock clicked open. My front door swung inward, and there she was, Karen Milford, HOA president, stepping into my home with a key she had no right to possess. She didn't get far. The welcoming committee, you see, was already inside and waiting. My name is Daniel Shaw. 8 months ago, after a painful divorce, I moved into the Oakhaven Grove community, searching for calm. It was a picture-perfect neighborhood with manicured lawns and silent streets. I should have sensed the control behind that perfection. The first envelope arrived before I'd even unpacked the kitchen, a notice of non-compliance. The infraction? My brass house numbers were deemed non-reflective of the community's rustic bronze aesthetic. It was signed by the HOA president, Karen Milford. I laughed it off. That was my first mistake. The deluge began. A fine for parking my car slightly over the imaginary line in my own driveway. A warning letter about the excessive biodiversity in my flower bed. Apparently 3 types of flower was 2 over the limit. She measured the height of my grass with a ruler. She cited the angle of my window blinds. I started to feel like I was living under a microscope with Karen as the chief inspector. Then came the requests for interior alignment checks. At board meetings, she'd warmly thank the Simmons family for their transparency in letting her verify their wall colors. She praised the Garcias for allowing a furniture layout assessment. When I politely declined, her smile tightened. The citations became more frequent, more absurd. The final straw was a penalty for the audible pitch of my wind chimes, which she claimed disrupted the oral serenity of Lot 42. But the real fear started with the small, unsettling changes. I'd returned from work to find a book on my shelf turned a different way. A kitchen drawer I always shut was slightly open. One afternoon, a single long blonde hair lay on my bathroom countertop. My blood ran cold. This wasn't bureaucracy anymore. This was violation. I went to the police. Detective Miller listened, her expression growing graver as I showed her the stack of violation notices and described the signs of entry. "This isn't about community standards," she said flatly. "This is about power, and she's breaking the law." She proposed a plan. We would give Karen exactly what she seemed to want, an unsupervised opportunity. The sting was set on a Wednesday, garbage day, when my leaving the house would look routine. I put my dog in the car and drove off slowly. Hidden in my upstairs office, Officers Perez and Jacobs monitored the house through discrete cameras. They didn't have to wait long. At 7:02 p.m., Karen's silver sedan pulled up. She marched to my door, not with hesitation, but with the brisk purpose of someone on official business. From her pocket, she produced not a knock, but a key. The lock turned. She stepped inside. She moved through my foyer, a small notepad already in hand. I could hear her muttering on the audio feed. Clutter on the console, unacceptable. Artwork lacking thematic cohesion. She was so engrossed in her critique, so assured of her dominion, that she didn't notice Officer Perez step out of the shadowed hallway. "Find everything you're looking for?" She froze. The color drained from her face so completely it was startling. Her notepad slipped from her fingers. For a long second, the only sound was the hum of my refrigerator. Then the entitlement erupted. She sputtered, brandishing her HOA ID badge like a shield. "I have every right. The covenants grant the board authority to ensure visual and structural harmony. You are interfering with my duty." She actually tried to order the officers to help her document the violations. When Officer Jacobs calmly explained she was committing criminal trespass, her fury exploded. She threatened their jobs. She screamed for her husband. She declared this a gross misunderstanding. The sound of the handcuffs closing around her wrists was a sharp, definitive click. The perp walk was something out of a movie. As the officers led her to the squad car, neighbors emerged onto their porches. Curtains twitched. Old Mr. Peterson from across the street gave a slow, silent clap. Karen, now tear-streaked and disheveled, yelled at the gathering crowd about privacy and slander. The lack of self-awareness was breathtaking. At the station, the performance continued. She refused a standard photograph, demanded a specific attorney who played golf with the mayor, and insisted on a private holding cell. The reality of her situation, the orange jumpsuit, the fingerprint scanner, seemed like a personal insult to her universe. The fallout was swift. An emergency HOA meeting, packed with angry residents, ended with her immediate removal and a motion to shred all master key records. But the true scale emerged in court. The prosecution presented evidence from her home computer, folders for over 30 households filled with photos of their interiors, notes on family schedules, children's names, and even financial speculations. My file was tagged non-compliant, high risk. It contained details about my divorce proceedings I'd never shared. Defying her lawyer, Karen took the stand. For 40 minutes, she lectured the courtroom on community decay, property values, and the burden of leadership. When the prosecutor asked, "Did you believe you had the legal right to enter Mr. Shah's home without permission?" she lifted her chin and said, "A moral right, absolutely, to prevent aesthetic blight." In that moment, she wasn't a defendant, she was a zealot convinced of her own gospel. The judge's sentence was a firm rebuke. Probation, extensive community service, a 5-figure fine, and a permanent injunction from holding any position of authority in a homeowners association. The gavel's crack was the period at the end of a long, maddening sentence. Oakhaven Grove is different now. The air feels lighter. People paint their fences daring colors like slate gray or forest green. Kids leave bicycles on lawns overnight. The oppressive silence has been replaced with the normal, comforting sounds of life. We learned that a little chaos is the price of freedom, and it's a price worth paying. Her story is a warning about what happens when small power meets unchecked obsession. If you found this tale of overreach and justice satisfying, support our channel. Hit the like button and subscribe to Trending Tales Pulse for more deep dives into the stories that captivate the internet. Thanks for watching.